What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is Bizarre US State Borders Explained. We've done a couple of these before, haven't we?
Yeah.
I don't think it was borders, it was more just like gimmicky geography facts, which are pretty awesome to hear and stuff like that by Geography King and stuff like that. I shouldn't say gimmicky, that probably discredits it, but like funky, kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like fun.
Yeah, fun little facts and stuff like that, which Geo King's done. Interesting ones as well. Awesome channel, Geo King. But this actually isn't by Geo King. I know you'd guess it was by the end of it. It's a new channel, so the link to this channel will be in the description. We don't know what type of videos he's going to turn out to be, because like I say, we've never checked these guys out before. But it got suggested, so we're checking it out. Smash that like button, guys. Smash that subscribe button as well. And are you ready?
I've changed it up a bit, because everyone keeps saying I say yeah too much, and I'm saying it in different languages.
Say things. Just, I was going to say... Smash that like button, guys. Smash the subscribe button. And... I was trying to think of some French then. I was trying to think of French, but I don't know enough. Do you know? Let's get into it in French.
The US has a lot of weird borders, like these panhandles in West Virginia, the entire state of Maryland, and this panhandle in Florida, which steals almost all of Alabama's coastline. But when it was under Spanish rule, Florida's panhandle used to be much longer. This didn't last for long though, since this part of western Florida would be annexed into the Mississippi territory, and then shortly after it would be broken up into Mississippi and Alabama. This left Alabama with this tiny coastline, and Florida a much shorter panhandle. But even this almost became a part of Alabama. You see, the residents of the Floridian Panhandle felt more connected to Alabama rather than the rest of the state. This was due to the swamps and dense forests, which made it difficult to go east. And so from 1811 to 1901, the Florida Panhandle tried to become a part of Alabama 11 times. Probably the closest attempt to succeeding was in 1869, when all the West Florida counties were polled on whether or not they wanted to be annexed by Alabama. A majority, 64% of the population wanted annexation, but despite this, Alabama didn't annex it. This was because they actually had to purchase it from Florida first for $1 million, but it just didn't seem worth it to them. All annexation attempts largely came to an end after the completion of the Pensacola and Atlantic Railroad in 1883, finally ending its isolation from the rest of the state. There's a part of Virginia on the Delmarva Peninsula called the Eastern Shore. It exists because back when Virginia was a colony, they had some settlements all around the Chesapeake Bay. So when Maryland popped into existence, Virginia wasn't too happy, wanting to all around the Chesapeake Bay. So when Maryland popped into
I mean, I know that's kind of like incorporating the state flag a little bit, but is that the border? Do you get what I mean? Or is that like a river going in?
I think that's a river.
It must be a river going in, just because it seems very like funky borderline.
There must be bridges, surely.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Imagine if you lived in that part of the state and you wanted to go to that part of the state, you have to go all the way up and down.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, there must be a couple of bridges, but it just looks weird because like we talk about borders like up here, and then you suddenly just got this going in here.
No, that must be.
It must be a river.
To existence, Virginia wasn't too happy, wanting to hold on to at least some part of the Delmarva Peninsula. Both colonies decided that their border would go from Sinquac through the Chesapeake Bay to Watkins Point, and then go east, ending at the sea. But over time, this border would be redefined and changed multiple times until it became this convoluted border. Maryland's borders are also bizarre because back when it was a colony too, a royal charter granted them all the land from the Potomac River up to the 40th parallel. This was a problem though, since Pennsylvania and Maryland disputed this, including the city of Philadelphia. And so in 1760, this dispute was solved with the Mason-Dixon line, which means that today, both sides of Maryland are only connected through a corridor that at one point is only less than 2 miles wide. Delaware isn't a part of Maryland because it used to be a Dutch colony, but then when the English replaced the Dutch, it did become a part of Maryland. Or so they thought, due to a technicality in a royal charter that said they could only inherit land that had not been yet Christianized. Delaware couldn't become a part of Maryland because it was already settled by Dutch Protestants. Instead, Pennsylvania got it to get better access to the sea. But sick of both Pennsylvania and British rule.
So Maryland couldn't take it because of it had been christened, they said, didn't the land had been christened? But then we go, Pennsylvania, well, you can have it. What?
That seems so unfair.
I get the access to the beach thing, I get the argument, but if one can't take it, why can the other take it?
That seems a little...
Maryland might have been shafted out quite a bit of land
there.
Just a bit.
rule, Delaware declared its independence, making it the very first state to do so. I should probably also mention that Delaware's northern border is a circle with a 12-mile radius centered around the city of Newcastle. This created two problems though. This one was quickly solved by letting it just be a part of Maryland, but this place called the Wedge was disputed by both Pennsylvania and Delaware. But in 1921, Pennsylvania gave up its claim, and so it became part of Delaware. West Virginia has not one, but two panhandles, and it got this northern one because back when it was a part of Virginia, they disputed this area with Pennsylvania. This wasn't solved until 1779 when Congress recommended they settle their border disputes so they could focus on fighting the British. And so they determined that Pennsylvania's border should end 5 degrees of longitude east of the Delaware River and then go north, while Virginia's western border followed the Ohio River until it reached Pennsylvania, causing this weird northern border. After West Virginia broke away from Virginia, their name was actually Kanawha, and they had this territory. Soon after, its name would be changed to West Virginia and extended to this, and a few months later, these two Virginian counties voted in favor of joining the new state. This newly created panhandle mostly follows the natural landscape like the Appalachian Mountains and the Potomac River. That is, until we reach the counties mentioned previously. After the Civil War, Virginia asked if they could have these counties back, but the Supreme Court said no. But these counties might actually join Virginia soon. You see, the residents in Berkeley, Jefferson, and Morgan County are starting to reconsider joining Virginia. This is because they feel more similar to Maryland or Virginia rather than the rest of West Virginia. But honestly, I don't see what...
That would make sense if, like I say, if it's gone along the Appalachian Trail, if you're a bit secluded. Yeah. It's just mental to me that we're in 2020, well, we're in 2022. I don't know why I just said
We're in 2020.
Yeah, we're in 2022. If a state's potentially is still changing.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like they can do that, but they can.
Yeah, and I never realised how much they changed. I guess over time, so much has happened. It makes sense. Yeah. But so much have changed so much. We've got weird borders.
Yeah.
And they're still changing.
Crazy.
Weird.
West Virginia letting this happen.
Yeah, you never know.
Soon. Some people don't actually know this, but Idaho shares a border with Canada, and it's made possible by this panhandle. Back in 1863, Idaho was a part of the Washington Territory, but this didn't last long, since the Westerners wanted to break off from the rest of the territory to make their own territory, and so two potential borders were proposed. One would look like this with the capital in Olympia, and the other one would look like this with the capital in Walla Walla. The capitals are different because if this land over here is included, Walla Walla becomes more centrally located when it comes to geography and population, but when excluding this land, it would end up more closely to Olympia. Although this border would have gotten them more land, in March 1863, the Washington Territory chose this for their new border so they could keep the capital in Olympia. With Washington now broken off from the rest of the territory, all of this land became a part of the newly created Idaho Territory, which encompassed all of modern-day Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. This wouldn't last long though, since the Montanans couldn't easily reach the capital, and so they petitioned to become their own territory. Idaho wanted the border to be set at the Continental Divide, but Montana wanted the border to be at the Bitterroot Mountains. Before Idaho could say anything, Montana's border was already chosen to be at the Bitterroot Mountains, giving Idaho this panhandle. Alaska and Minnesota have some weird borders too, and so if you want to see them, then click here. If you're more into the little oddities of the US, then click here. Thanks for watching.
Let us know if you want to check out like the other ones, because they seem to be, because this was bizarre, they seem to be strange, stuff like that. It was quite a good, quick, informative video, because again, like I said, like you said with the Idaho thing, you'd never realise it borders Canada.
I never knew that.
You kind of remember seeing the little thing, but you don't realise it goes that far up.
No, then you don't realise that it sits with Canada.
Yeah, and
that's still blow my mind.
Yeah, definitely. And there's just little bits of information there which you've learned. You know the reason why. Good pub quiz stuff. I think definitely good pub quiz stuff.
Never know when you're going to need it.
Never know when you're going to need it. And it's just one of them, I think, at work one day we talk about it, be like, did you know? Do you know what I mean? They pull out just this absolute bizarre US border one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys learned something new, because we definitely did. Yeah. Let us know if you want to check out the other videos similar to this in the comments below. And what should we do?
Have a fantastic day.
And we will see you, absolute legends, in the next one. Peace.